Hi, Kristen here again. I just wanted to pop back on with another fun ways to play video. As I mentioned before, I am a pediatric occupational therapist, and now I am staying home with my 5 children as we wait for the quarantine to be over. But I hope that everyone has had a great week. I just wanted to share another round of 5 ways to play with common household items, and today is Friday, and so when I think back to last Friday when I was still working at the preschool, we tended to call that Fun Food Fridays because I also do some feeding therapy, and my coworker speech therapist and I run some food explorers groups on Fridays at the preschool that I work at. So I thought that it would be fun to talk about some kitchen tools that we might have and ways that we can use those. So today's Fun Food Friday way of playing is with muffin tins. If you don't have muffin tins, you can usually use ice cube trays too for most of these activities. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about 5 ways to play with muffin tins or ice cube trays. So number 1, you can use muffin tins as a great way of doing either kind of simple sorting activities or just even as a container. So when I'm thinking of that, I'm thinking of younger kids who might be more of a, baby, early toddler age, can just use these to place items into. So I'm thinking of small toys like blocks or small balls that you can put into each container. So you can just spread those out and then let your younger child have at it by just putting those items one in each compartment. And then they can dump it and do it all over again. For older kids, I like to use it for sorting. So you can put pieces of paper in each compartment that either have a color, so colorful paper, or a number on the paper, and then you can let your child sort a bunch of toys or preferred items that they like, even food items like little pieces of pasta or cereal or chocolate chips if you want to be fun, and then they have to put that many objects in, or if it's a color then they have to sort out, say, the Fruit Loops, and you're going to put all the red ones in these, all of the yellow in here, and etc. For older kids, I've used this also with my 7-year-old, where I've just taped like a subtraction problem on the bottom, and then we've used small Legos. That's another great thing that can fit into these. And then she has to put the answer down in the same number of Legos. So she has to build a tower with 7 Legos to put it in for the problem that says 14 minus 7, let's say. So that's a great way to work on kind of sorting skills, using them more as a container. The second way that we can use muffin tins for play is to use them in a scavenger hunt. I'm bringing back the scavenger hunt because those are really fun for kids of all ages. If we were to take this outside, you could go outside and you could tell your child, today we're going to find 12 things that are green, let's say, and then they're going to put 12 items in that are green, or you can do it by shape. So let's find, even if we say, let's find 3 round items and put them in this column. So that's a great way to work on counting, running around, trying to find things. You can have kids race, you can have them work together if you have multiple kids. You can also do this inside if the weather isn't cooperating. Number 3, you can use muffin tins for sensory play. So you can give your child, let's say, a bowl of water, or ice cubes, or rice, or dry cereal, let's say, and you can put that in a bowl and then give them like tools for scooping, so even just a spoon or a ladle, and then they can scoop and put the water in each compartment. If you're playing with water, you can color it and you can practice color mixing. It's a great way to keep that sensory play a little bit more contained, and then you're also working on important skills like scooping. For older kids, you can do the old baking soda and vinegar experiment, so they're scooping baking soda into each of these compartments. Then you give them a bowl of vinegar, and they can use a turkey baster or a spoon and just make their own little baking soda and vinegar volcanoes. So that's a fun activity to do with the older kids. And then our fourth way to play with muffin tins is to use them for a muffin tin lunch or snack time. So the large ones are fine for this. The smaller ones are even better because this kind of gives your kids an underwhelming way of exploring different foods. I apologize, my muffin tins have been well used, but you can just put small bits of food in each of these containers. Most of them can be foods that your child prefers, but it's also great to incorporate a couple of foods that maybe your child isn't sure about or hasn't tried yet. So the great thing about the little mini muffin tins or even an ice cube tray is that they only hold, say, one cherry tomato or a couple of frozen peas, or anything that your child isn't sure of. The muffin tins are also great because if you put, say, a pureed food or a yogurt or something in there and you give your child a spoon, it gives them some boundaries and it makes it a little easier to scoop. The same thing goes with fork use. It gives them some boundaries. So kids who are still learning to use utensils can practice in a kind of a less frustrating way by using a muffin tin. And then the fifth way to play with muffin tins is what we all think of, and that is baking. Baking muffins is one really fun activity. I love baking in general because it incorporates so many different skills. You're incorporating fine motor skills by pouring and scooping. You're incorporating some math skills by, looking at fractions. If you're doubling a recipe, you're working on multiplication, or if you're having a recipe, you're working on division. And it's also a great way of exploring all different textures of foods. So you've got flour, you've got oil, there's all these different sensory experiences going on. And a fun way to make muffins is to just use a basic muffin recipe, which I will post in the comments. And then you can set up a variety of little bowls of things that can be mixed in. And then you can have your child or children, you can assign them each, say, a different row of muffins and allow them to add whatever mix-ins they want. So maybe some blueberries or coconut. If you want to make savory muffins, you could decrease the sugar and add cheese or little bits of lunch meat, and then they can add it to whichever muffins they're assigned to, and then use a toothpick to kind of stir it in, and then you can bake them, and then they can take kind of some ownership and pride in the muffins that they've made. Kids are more likely to eat or at least taste the foods that they have prepared themselves. So that's a really fun way of working on that skill. So I hope that you found this helpful. I apologize for any herds of elephants that you may have thought you heard downstairs, but my kids were running around trying to get their energy out as I do this, and while the little guy is napping. So I'm going to wrap it up now, but I hope that everyone has a great weekend, and happy Friday. Bye.